This is a conservative czar. January 17th. I was unsure about the month. January 17th, 2026. I've had this theme several times. I want to repeat it again because I just don't think people are getting it. And I don't mean my viewers. I have hardly any viewers, but just in general, people are getting the dangerous situation in the Russian-Ukraine war. It is, in my opinion, by far the most important issue facing the United States. At, by far, because the risk at the end includes nuclear war. And that's the problem. And in the situation today, Russia's winning. It's hard slog for them. And a lot of people thought it wasn't going to be a hard slog. But it's a hard slog. The Ukrainians are fighting brutally and effectively. But they're going to lose. They're going to lose, that's for sure. It might take months, but they're going to head to losing. Now, the problem with Ukraine losing is the Ukraine lobby in Europe and in the United States is going to want to defend Ukraine at all costs. Now, maybe not at all costs, at cost, because inherently in this, the United States is super strong, Europe is weak. is weak. So when we're talking about what might happen as Ukraine loses, is that they can have a peace, but they have not negotiated in good faith. Russia is not going to agree to security guarantees. Not going to agree to it. They might end up with some sort of a compromise on the Donbass, and those are the two big issues for Russia. They're just not going to do it. The last proposal by Trump was a non-starter. Zelensky came back and even a worse attempt at peace. The Ukrainians, if they are left entirely alone, will lose. But they're not going to be left alone. The Ukraine lobby is very powerful, both in the United States and especially in Europe, where they dominate. The trouble with Europe, as I said before, is they're weak. So that doesn't mount for much. They couldn't defend the end game at all. But they might. And that's the issue, one of the big issues. If Europe puts troops to support Ukraine, it escalates the war tremendously. The war is escalated. And nuclear weapons, the first thing that will happen is there'll be I'm not sure the first thing. If Europe, NATO, sends troops into Ukraine to defend the last gasp of Ukraine, Putin just might pull the plug and attack with nuclear weapons on Germany and England. This has been proposed a little bit by some people. Tucker did an episode on it. So it's risky. So what if the Europeans decide to go that way? I don't think they are because they're weak. But what if they did? The escalation in Europe against Russia explodes. The risk of Russia using nuclear weapons increases several fold. And that's just that one scenario. I'll give you another scenario. And that is that Trump gets fed up, has a bad dream. Has a bad dream, wakes up in the morning, fed up with Putin, and says to Ukraine, you can have Tomahawk missiles. Tomahawk missiles is a red line in the sand. Russia will not tolerate. They will respond with ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons. On the table at first will be tactical nuclear weapons. But the escalation gets to regular nuclear weapons soon. This is the risk. We're on a fine, nice edge in Ukraine-Russian war. And anything that affects the balance could lead to World War III. And that's the danger. And it's a huge issue. Nothing comes close to it. Now, we got some big issues. We have China, we have AI, we have big existential issues. But this is the biggest. It's the most dangerous, and hardly anybody is paying attention to it. This is the Conservative Czar. See you next time.